Okay, Tamara, I'm so excited. I've been teasing people on my social media networks about the partnership that I've created with you out of Montreal. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to introduce you to everybody. So thank you for doing this little cheesy interview to start, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I just want people to know about you. I've been so impressed through our conversation and in the background, you and I have been structuring this deal and we've been doing some training on content and all of those fun things. But I'm mostly impressed with who you are as a person. So we'll talk a little bit about what you want to do with your business and a little bit about you so people can get to know a little bit about the newest partner and our partnership at Mark Pettipaw Business Coaching, and a little bit about your consultancy as well, because you're consulting as well, because you're not just doing Mark Pettipaw stuff, you're doing your own stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So first of all, talk to us about your background professionally. Tell us a little bit about what you've done.
Sure. Well, I was in the corporate world for about 30 years. I was in Montreal, as you mentioned. I lived here with my family, and I fell in love with California on a trip and decided that I wanted to move there. And despite the objections of everybody around me, I moved myself out there and I started working for Pepsi, really with no plan in place. But I started working for Pepsi and I stayed with them for 8 years in California. Then I moved to the Boston market and worked there for another couple of years where I met my husband. And then I moved to Chicago and worked there for 17 years. And then we moved back to Canada. We were here for the last 7 years. And I had a fabulous experience with Pepsi Cola, a top notch company, um, primarily on the sales side of the business, both retail and food service. And but the last back half of my career really focused on leading teams, developing relationships with customers, and the most enjoyable part of my job, which is part of what led me to you, is really honing in on coaching and leadership and how to really accelerate the management model for myself and also within Pepsi Cola. It's something that, from a fundamental standpoint, I believe in wholeheartedly. And I am so excited about the opportunity to be able to talk servant leadership and explain to people why it is basically the way that the future we're going to have to run our businesses, but just as importantly, the value that it adds to our bottom line as organizations and how investing in our people is so important. So doing this is really stems off of all the things I enjoyed the most. When I look back at my career and I think to myself, what are the times that I was happiest? It was really leading teams, and it was also working for great people. So I think that kind of helps you understand what you want from a leader when you have worked for great leaders. And I've had both of those benefits.
Amazing. And I love, I think that's where, I've been down this journey about trying to scale and reach more people for quite a while. I think I put a post out there months and months and months ago that I was open to that idea. And I've had quite a few conversations with quite a few people. But what I loved about you is I think it's safest for me to bring you on as a partner first. And the reason that is we have the same passions, right? Like you believe in leadership, but you also believe in sales success. It's where your functional expertise is, but that's come based on your skills and ability as a leader. And those two things have to go together. Like I will be looking for partners in, with finance expertise and HR expertise, so we can bring a whole solution to companies and fill that gap on skill development and behaviors. But it's easiest for me to work with someone like you right from the get go because we're so aligned there. Remind the group and me, I guess, last role, what was the title before you decided to leave the corporate world and do this?
So I was an executive with PepsiCo. I was a director for sales. I had the all of Canada, and I was fortunate also to have a lot of interactions on the North American basis, as most of my customers were global. So one of the nuances that I bring to any organization, or even when I'm just talking to people in general, is my knowledge of the U.S. market and how that compares with the Canadian market, from again, from all standpoints. So being able to also, I guess, communicate the nuances and why Canada is so different from the US has actually been pretty value added when I was in my previous role, because I do think there's a lot of misunderstandings between the two markets on how they operate. And just like the US has so many different markets that develop in different ways and have different demographics, as does Canada. So that was my role. It was Canadian based, but I did, as I said, have the luxury of being able to deal with a lot of my previous US counterparts, and obviously met a lot of new people, but we also had some opportunities to deal with some people in Europe as well. So it was exciting. It was a great place to be.
Well, so everyone knows who's watching this video, one of the things I'm trying to differentiate the business on is it's not about franchises or territories or areas. It's about partnership and reach and getting to more customers. So everyone understands you're in Montreal, but you'll be working wherever people need this content and where it can provide value. So you'll be leveraging those relationships in Quebec, across Canada, and in the US, which
Yep.
is phenomenal.
Yep.
Um, let's ask you, and again, I think we're going to go out to market. You'll be doing the sales training, you'll be doing the leadership training, helping wherever you can. You'll be adding more content to the organization. You and I have talked about that, and there'll be some exciting news to come there
Sure.
when you're there.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I'm looking at, and they're really, I think they're offshoots of the work that you've already done. But one of them talks about the importance of onboarding employees. I think that this time period when you bring in a new employee is so important in terms of setting the stage as to what they expect from you and what you expect from them. I have seen both very poor onboarding and incredible onboarding, and I think that there's a value to that. It's not rocket science. It's kind of like inviting a guest over and making sure that they're comfortable. It's all the basics from first impressions to how you demonstrate in those first month or a couple of months what the expectations of the employee are. So that's one piece. I know you and I have talked at great length about the potential for some form of diversity training. I think this is very, very important. I don't know how we'll structure this, but I do think as time goes on, I would love the opportunity to do some training myself and how to help managers manage diversity, and not diversity necessarily of anything specific like gender or race, but it's also the diversity of the ability to manage style, and being able to step outside of your own comfort zone in terms of style and be able to manage people who do things differently than you do. So I think that's also something that I'm really interested in building. And I think right now, which is one thing that's going to be very important, is helping businesses get back on track after COVID, and how we'll have to take a bit of a different approach. And I think that will include helping people embrace the potential that they are not going to go back to a normal work environment as normal as what we saw before, working from home, managing people remotely, managing customers remotely, how to get the best out of your relationships without having to physically be in the same room as somebody. So I think those are all different opportunities that could play a really important role as we look at this new foundation that we have as a business environment. And so I'm really excited to delve into each one of those and figure out from a priority standpoint where I want to focus my time and what type of training I'll require to actually be able to go to somebody and say that I'm qualified to talk about this.
Amazing. I think first of all, I love that you're bringing new content into the business, and without boring everybody with our structure and what that looks like, but the partnership model lends itself to us creating more content to bring to more clients. And so, you'll be out running with the servant leadership and sales training that I've built, added to all of your experience in sales and leading. And you'll be bringing in more content that we'll be able to bring to more clients. And I really think that's where we'll be able to grow this and have a different impact than most coaching models and franchises, where here you pay this franchise fee and I collect this royalty as the franchisor, and then the learning stops and the true partnership stops, and the ability to flex with clients for what they need and build what they need stops. And I'm so excited that you're bringing that expertise into this partnership. But before I let you go today, because I don't want to bore everybody with our business and our grand aspirations, but let's find out a little bit about you. Are you up for a little bit of fun? Can I ask you a few
Sure.
questions?
I
Okay.
love fun. And I like answering questions. I think one of my favorite things in the world besides doing lists is answering questionnaires.
Oh, well, careful what you ask, you agree to, because here I go. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, okay?
Okay.
All right. Favorite sport?
Probably hockey.
Oh boy, this could be the end of what was been a great partnership. Favorite hockey team?
That's hard. I would probably say maybe at a time it was the Canadians, but it also could be the Blackhawks because that's where I spent the most time. And so I have a bit of a affinity to the Blackhawks as well.
We'll give you 30% mark for your answer to that question for
Thank
that
you. Thank
portion.
you.
What do you like to do besides business? What's passion in life for you? What do you love to do the most?
Well, what I love to do the most without question is anything that involves my son. I'm a little obsessed with him. But that's kind of an obvious answer. So I'll do the non-obvious. I'm a huge music buff. I love to listen to music. I played piano for most of my life. I would have been a DJ if I could have been. So I love music. I like to be outside. I love reading. I love going to the movies when you're allowed to go to the movies. I love hosting social events, getting together with people. I like to travel, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to travel as soon as we can. I think I'll be one of the first people getting back on a plane. I'm actually really looking forward to getting. One of the biggest things I miss from working was being able to visit different cities and countries and meeting new people. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I think that's my core, and I like to eat. So that's another thing I really enjoy.
Me too. See
Not
this
to
part?
cook, not to cook, but to eat.
I'm learning how to cook, but I
Yeah,
love to eat. Favorite
yeah.
movie? Only one.
The Wedding Singer.
No way.
Yeah.
I love that. There's a line in that that says like, "Now I have the microphone, and you will listen to everything I
Everything I
say."
have to say. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
one of
awesome.
my favorites. I can watch it. I watch it over and over and over again. And I never am like, oh, like I fast forward through anything. It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Favorite yet to be released book on the market on servant leadership.
There's this book by this guy. I've gotten to know him. He's pretty smart. His name is Mark. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
No,
he's put together this really great book. It's not so long that you're gonna put it down on your desk and not want to get at it. It's got a lot of great information in it. It's about 110 pages, and it's really like a go-to guide for servant leadership. So
you know what? I like that answer.
I'm looking forward to that.
last thing, and I appreciate you being a good sport with that. If
No
someone wanted
problem.
to get a hold of you today, so I'm going to upload your page to the website, this video, start to share your background, get you some dedicated space, and announce our partnership more formally. Where would they find you today if they either wanted to find out a little bit more about the servant leadership, the sales training, some of the other training that you can do complementary to that? How does someone get a hold of you today?
So I think the best place to start off with is actually going to be your website. I want to start uploading some content, giving some more context as to who I am. And also, sort of my passions. So the things that I'm going to be most interested in working with clients with, as opposed to maybe things that I will refer back to you, for instance, or to some other able-bodied individual as we bring on more partners. But there are definitely things that I'm going to shine at, and you're going to want me in front of a group of individuals. My passion is going to be clear, and I'm going to be able to resonate across a system, starting from the most junior employees to the most senior. So that's really what I want to be able to communicate to people, is people can feel where they're going to get the best out of me. So I'd say start with my website, your website, LinkedIn. I'm going to update that. If people want to get deeper, I'm more than happy to do short phone calls to introduce myself. I think it's important people feel confident and comfortable with another person's style as they're, getting in front of an organization. So I think that's the best place to start off with.
Cool. So I will get your information up on the website quickly here is my marching order from that. And if someone wants to connect with you on LinkedIn, you're open to that as well, is what I.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
And my email and my phone, both great ways of reaching out to me. And I'm almost on every communication platform. So whatever works best for people. But I am definitely I'm a bit of an email person, so that's usually the best. That or the old cell phone.
Okay, maybe what I'll do
Hello.
after this video, when I post this, I'll put those connection points for you. We'll document those as I
Cool.
post this.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing this. I know I
No
told you only a
problem.
couple minutes, but I just love talking to you. I'm so excited about where this is going.
Me too.
I
Me
could
too.
not have picked a better first person to kind of try and scale this with and reach more people with. I'm so excited about our partnership. So thank you.
And I am honored to be that first person. I feel like I've found the frick to my frack. So I'm really excited. I feel that all from looking at all of your information and all of the work that you put forward, I feel like I couldn't have written it better myself. And that's saying a lot. Like that's, if I wrote something from the heart about how I feel about servant leadership, you've actually encompassed it in the work that you've put together. So I'm super excited about the partnership too.
Cool. And I think you're going to hit the ground running. And I think your experience in the sales world tied to your leadership is parallel, if not stronger than mine. So that's a good thing, right? Because I always try and be I always make sure I'm not the smartest person in the room because then I continue to learn. And I think you've allowed me to do that again, which is
Well,
fantastic.
that's very kind words.
Well, and I'll tell just so anyone watching. So tomorrow we're onboarding her right now. We're kind of dotting the i's, crossing the t's, and doing all the legal stuff and partnership stuff. And in parallel, I'm ensuring that any content that I've built, I'm training tomorrow on. So there's a comfort level that she will be out there adding her personal touch to it, but also a confidence level that the original intent of this content is going to be shared with the organization because she's gone through a deep training with me, and she's going to sit in on my next client's servant leadership training and observe. And then she's out and running and doing her own thing and taking it to a new level. So you will be hearing from her shortly, but there you go, everybody. Tomorrow, Plus Amante joining the partnership here, and you will be able to reach her through the contact information that I'm going to share, and she is happy to do business wherever our customers need it. So thank you
Absolutely.
again, Tamara. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
We'll chat soon.
Okay.
Okay.